For decades, Vince Gill has been one of country music's most respected voices, a virtuoso guitarist, a prolific songwriter, and a man known as much for his humility as his talent. With over 20 Grammy Awards, countless CME accolades, and a revered position in the Grand Ole Opry, Gill has long been a symbol of authenticity in a genre that often teeters between tradition and reinvention. But now, as murmurs grow louder behind the scenes and once loyal fans raise questions, the legacy of this country legend is facing unexpected turbulence. It's not a scandal in the traditional sense, no tabloid affair or sudden controversy. It's something slower, quieter, and perhaps more painful, a slow fade from relevance, questions about his health, strained professional relationships, and a career that may be approaching its final chapter. Vince Gill isn't in headlines for something explosive, but for those paying attention, it's not looking good. The quiet exit from the spotlight in recent years, Vince Gill's public appearances have grown notably sparse. Once a staple on country award shows, telethons, tribute concerts, and Opry nights, Gill has been gradually retreating from the public eye. Fans began to notice. His last solo studio album, while critically well-received, didn't generate the kind of buzz his earlier work routinely inspired. Tour dates have slowed. Interviews are rare. Collaborations, once a hallmark of Gill's generosity as a musician, have dwindled. Initially, it was easy to write off as a well-earned rest. After all, Gill's career spans over 4 decades, and few would begrudge him a quieter season. But then whispers began to spread. Was it really just retirement on his terms, or something else? Health concerns and the unspoken strain among close circles in Nashville, concerns have begun to mount about Gill's health. Though he has not made any public announcements about illness, those who've seen him backstage or in low-key performances say the change is noticeable. He just doesn't seem like himself, one longtime session player said anonymously. Still sweet as ever, but slower, tired, distant in a way that's not like him. Friends close to the Gill family have mentioned that he's been in and out of medical care in the past year, nothing confirmed. Nothing public, but enough to keep insiders worried. The silence surrounding the subject has only amplified speculation. Gill has always been deeply private, more so than many in the country world, but the lack of communication now feels ominous. At 67, he's not young, but he's not old enough for this kind of full-scale retreat. Either. And therein lies the unease. It's not what he's saying, but what I sends single quotes T. The Eagles chapter and the fallout in 2017. Vince Gill stepped into an unexpected and high-pressure role, joining the Eagles on tour following the passing of Glenn Frey. Many saw it as a beautiful tribute. Gill, a lifelong fan and one of the few voices who could do the songs justice, delivered powerful performances that honored the late Frey's legacy without upstaging it. For a while, the arrangement worked. Fans praised Gill's respectfulness, his vocal control, and the touch of warmth he brought to the band's famously stoic stage presence. But behind the scenes, tensions reportedly brewed. Sources close to the tour said that Gill's natural instinct to be collaborative, to adjust arrangements, to offer songwriting input clashed with the Eagles' rigid structure. He's used to being the leader in his own career, said one former tour staffer. But with the Eagles, it's different. It's their machine, their rules. I think Vince struggled with that. Eventually, he stopped appearing at certain legs of the tour. Some fans wondered why he'd disappeared. Others noticed he was missing from group interviews and press shots. Though no official fallout was ever announced, his exit from the Eagles' orbit felt unfinished and a little too quiet for comfort. A legacy in limbo, perhaps the most unsettling part of Vince Gill's recent trajectory, is the uncertainty around how his legacy will ultimately be remembered. For many, he represents the last generation of country stars who blended technical brilliance with humility. He's never chased headlines, never sold controversy. He's written about heartbreak and grace, love and loss, all with a sincerity that made even casual listeners pause. But the music industry is fickle. And while his place in country history is secure, there's a growing fear among fans and colleagues that Gill's contributions may be overlooked in an era obsessed with novelty. He's not flashy, said one Nashville producer. He never had a bad boy phase, never reinvented himself as a pop star. And sadly, that means a lot of the younger generation doesn't really know what he did for the genre. This concern has been compounded by the lack of high-profile tributes. box sets, or retrospectives that usually mark the twilight years of an artist's career. Where's the documentary? The Hall of Fame gala? The Grammy salute? Right now, it all feels unfinished. Strained industry relationships, though Vince Gill is universally respected. That doesn't mean he's been immune to friction in the industry. Sources inside Universal Nashville and other label circles say, Gill has increasingly pushed back against commercial expectations, refusing to chase trends, resisting radio-friendly formulas, and declining high-paying collaborations with younger stars. Looking to use his name, he doesn't play the game anymore, one insider said. He's not rude about it. But if he thinks something's inauthentic, he won't touch it. While that integrity has long been admired, it's also isolated him. Younger artists, while respectful, rarely cite Gill as an influence. He's not been seen mentoring up-and-comers in the way artists like Willie Nelson or Reba McEntire have taken on protégés. He hasn't aligned himself with the movement. He hasn't started a podcast. He hasn't written a memoir. In an era where visibility is currency, Vince Gill has gone quiet, and silence is often misinterpreted as absence. Family matters adding to the complexity is Gill's family life, which, while largely private, has not been without tension. His marriage to Christian music star Amy Grant was once hailed as a wholesome union between two of Nashville's most admired voices. But behind the scenes, the merging of two high-profile careers wasn't always smooth. Grant, who has faced her own health battles in recent years, has reportedly spent more time focused on her solo spiritual journey, both literally and musically, leaving Gill often out of the spotlight they once shared. Meanwhile, his daughter Jenny Gill, an artist in her own right, has expressed frustration in past interviews about trying to carve her own path under the weight of her father's name. Being Vince Gill's kid doesn't get you a record deal, she once said. It gets you compared to someone you can't outsing. The emotional toll of trying to support a family while guarding a legacy may be weighing heavier than fans know. A slow goodbye? Is Vince Gill quietly stepping away from the industry? Or is he being pulled away by circumstances he can't or won't explain? The signs are hard to ignore. Fewer shows. No new album announcements. No presence on social media. No public statements. Even the Grand Ole Opry, where Gill has long held a cherished spot, has seen fewer of his surprise drop-ins. The speculation is painful because it's wrapped in reverence. No one wants a scandal. No one wants to see him diminished. But fans, especially longtime ones, deserve clarity, because right now the silence feels too final. And for someone who sang so beautifully about loss, love, and longing, this unspoken withdrawal from the stage feels like a heartbreak all its own. Final thoughts. It's not looking good for Vince Gill doesn't mean scandal. It doesn't mean disgrace. It means something more haunting, the slow, quiet fading of a legend whose humility may have kept him from claiming the recognition he deserved. It's the story of an artist who gave everything to the music, and when the lights dimmed, slipped out the side door without saying goodbye. And maybe, just maybe, it's a call to action for fans, peers, and the country music establishment to celebrate him now before it's too late, before the silence becomes permanent. Because if anyone deserves a standing ovation while they're still here to hear it, it's Vince Gill.